Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's our weekend roundup as we check in with all our teams and see how they got on. I'm Stephen Brown, and joining me on the show as ever, it's my Leeds United right-hand man, Jason Booker. Jason, how we doing, mate?
Very well, mate. I've got to say, I rate that intro. That entrance. That feels very slick, very professional. I like it. I think it bigs the show up.
Well, full credit to our resident terrier, Mr. Downs. Top job on the video, mate.
Cheers, thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, exciting week for you as well. New manager at the town as well, which we'll get into.
Lots going on.
Absolutely. Gareth Walker as well, covering the Bantams. Gareth, how we doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Are you?
Yes, good, thank you. And we've got Mr. David Foy racking up the appearances now. This must be like the 7th consecutive show or something. Unbelievable. Dave, how we doing, mate?
Yeah, really good. Really
good. Excellent. And rounding us off, it is Mr. Bradford Park Avenue. It is Lewis Sale. Lewis, how we doing?
Not bad, Steve, mate. Are you?
Yes, good, thank you. And if you're watching along, please smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well to get more content on all our teams across West Yorkshire. We're going to start off in the Championship. We are going to start with Leeds United. Jason, we did our post-match review at the weekend. It was another win for Leeds, the 8th consecutive league win, an unbelievable start to the year. It's a couple of days on now. I mean, we're on cloud 9 with this, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean... It's just nice to win games, isn't it? At any level of football, whoever you support, whoever you watch, going and watching your team week in, week out and win games consistently is really, really nice. And I think after the last 2 seasons we've had, it's been especially nice. But I think what's been pleasing to see has been the consistency in the performances. Like we literally are just rolling out week in, week out, and we either deliver an 8 out of 10 performance and roll a team over, or we deliver a 6 or a 7 and still win fairly comfortably, which is what happened at the weekend. Like, it weren't as all bells and whistles kind of shining performance that we've seen on occasion this season, but we still did more than enough to win the game comfortably. I watched the extended highlights back, and it's safe to say we could have been 3 up after 25 minutes, even not playing that well. We had the chance where Nonto put it across. It was tad offside. Ashley Phillips put it into his own net. He had no idea at the time that it was offside. It was a hell of a finish, wasn't it, by Ash Phillips?
Yeah.
We had the chance that came off the post by Rutter. I kind of forgot that he'd had that chance when we were analysing the game in the immediate review. He hit the post before scoring and got an assist. So, Plymouth's a tough place to go. Not lost since October at home. And we go there and we take a comfortable 3 points again. So, the start of this year, since the turn of the year, 1 goal conceded, 8 straight wins. It's Daniel Farke season. It's Daniel Farke time, isn't it? It's what he does. He's good at this time of the year. He's particularly good after Christmas. He's shown that in the 2 championship winning seasons at Norwich. He builds his teams up to have a head of steam, and the team look like they understand exactly what he expects and the style that we want to play, and they all seem to be clicking together. There's a good harmony. And I think there's a fantastic harmony actually in the within the team. You can see it on the pitch, and you can see it on the media stuff that the club are doing off the pitch as well. So, mate, I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. And we've got an acid test coming up on Friday. So I'm looking forward to it.
And if the week could get any better, a certain Mr. Jesse Marsh is live currently on Monday Night Football as we speak, so we can understand why Leeds fans may not be watching us this evening. Far more interesting things to go on there.
A nice reminder of what we don't have anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We're in second place now. Southampton obviously have this game in hand over us. It's a huge, huge game at the weekend. Well, Friday night for Leeds. It's against Leicester. I mean, what a game that's going to be. And actually, are we now looking up to that top spot and thinking we might actually have a chance to grab this? I mean, if we beat Leicester, it's only a 6-point advantage then.
I mean, Leicester losing at the weekend, I think, just changed everything for them. I was saying to you previously, before the last weekend's games, that they can kind of go into this with, one eye on the fact of winning the league anyway. But having lost at the weekend and all the teams around us winning, Ipswich, Southampton and us, it kind of puts them in a position where another slip up and they're within touching distance for the first time since October, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe even September. I mean, they took off at such a pace at the beginning of the season. They've not been within touching distance at all. So, yeah, we're going into this game knowing, and the players know, a win takes them 6 points from the title, never mind promotion, potentially winning the title, I think they'll be all over it. I really do. And I mean, for me, I'm not worried about this game. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a cracking game. I think any football fan that wants to tune into a proper, blood and thirsty kind of game with some quality as well, I'll be tuning into it. I think it'll be a great game. And I'm just going to do, like I said, the utmost to enjoy it. I think there's slightly more pressure on us than them at home, but not because it's Leicester, just because it's another game in which we need to pick up 3 points. Southampton and Ipswich's pace throughout the season has shown that you can't have too many slip-ups. So it's massive. Is it
bad that I don't actually want it to be a good game?
Yeah,
I actually want it to be a really dull, boring. Because I'm not getting to watch it.
You're missing another one, Brownie.
Why? What are you doing?
It's my wedding anniversary.
And
we're away.
Unless it's 40 years, I don't think it.
It might just have to be a long bathroom visit, possibly for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a treat for her to watch Leeds, isn't it? So come on.
Oh, no, not according to her. No, absolutely not.
I think for me, Brownie, I think it's good. It can't be anything but a really exciting game. The style that we play, that Leicester are going to kind of be forced into it. I think it'll be a cracker. Yeah. It were a good game down at their place, wasn't it? It were tight. It was definitely tight, but I'm excited. I'm confident as well. I think we'll win. I think we'll win.
Exactly.
I'm really surprised you said that, Jay, in terms of you're saying that Leeds have got more pressure on yourselves than Leicester. I actually think it's the other way around. I do.
You think? I mean, look, I could be wrong, but I still think Leicester being 9 points in front, even if they lose this game, the likelihood of them then dropping out of the top two is still pretty minimal. But I hear you. I think that there's a certain amount of pressure on them. But us at home, we need to keep winning. Right now we're in a position where we're, is it 2 points in front of Southampton or 1 point in front of Southampton with a game in hand? I can't remember now. But that game in hand still puts them in front of us going into that last game of the season if we were to win all of the games, and that goes Southampton winning all the games as well. So, it's vital that we don't slip up now.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear 100%. I think Leicester win this have won the title. I don't think there's a doubt about that, is there? Really?
Yeah, I agree.
I can appreciate your perspective on that. I think you're so strong at home, and we touched on it, didn't we, last week? Right? You haven't lost at home yet. Friday night under the lights, it's like you said, it's made for a famous Leeds atmosphere in Ellen Road. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of pressure on Leicester to go there and kind of prove to everybody that they're as good as what everybody makes out to be. I think for you guys, it's not a free hit at all because you still got to be there challenging. But I mean, if you win, that really does set expectations, I think, another level, doesn't it?
The funny thing about this side is, and I made the point about the playoff conversation that we were having last week, I think the players will thrive under this. We've shown every time we've kind of had to come across one of these teams, whether it be Ipswich at home, Ipswich away, Leicester away, we've risen to the challenge and we've won all of them games. So I think the boys are going to be looking forward to this game. I think they'll be really, really after it. And, from that perspective, you could say that there is a lot of pressure on Leicester in that the fans are at Maresca and the top of the league, clear by 9 points. It's unbelievable, really, but they're not happy. They're not happy with the style of play. They're not happy with how boring it is. It's true, though.
I know it's true, but it's absolutely mental, and that's why I agree kind of with Lou, because the fans that are coming to that game will be expecting to win. There's no way that they're not expecting not to win, and that's a massive problem for them. And from where they've come from, I just think it's made for Leeds to win. I really do. And
I think if there's one team you don't want to play at the moment, it's you guys.
I agree with that.
And if you're not a Leeds player and you don't want to, if you're not up for playing in a game like this, you don't deserve to be at Leeds United Football Club, in my opinion.
I agree, and I think it's easy to forget where we've come from this season because after 9 games, we'd only got 3 wins. We started the season slowly, given the turmoil and the changeover. I truly believe if you were to have started the season in September, we'd have probably been on the same amount of points as them now. I think us and Leicester are far ahead of everyone else, and then you've got Southampton, then you've got a big gap. And I know Ipswich are still up there, but I think Leeds and Leicester are a bit of cut above the rest of the league, personally.
You say you played Southampton last game at season?
At home, yeah. What a game.
Massive, innit?
What a game. That could be playoff final, innit? Before the end of the season, really.
Who have they got this weekend?
Oh, good question. They got a tough. Is it Hull? I think they're up against Hull.
Yeah, I think they've got Hull.
Yeah, they've got.
Interestingly, we've got Ipswich away on the last day of the season, so yeah, you don't want us to be going to Ipswich.
You might need to win that to stay up, mate. So.
By the way, Jason here, Bandy, Brownie and Jason, when we fell 16 points behind Leicester, I said we would win the division. Impossible, you said.
I mean, I probably did. We kind of touched on this the other day, and like it is okay for us to be wrong. Like we say a lot of opinions in front of people, and like sometimes they're not going to be right. And Bandy, if you did say that, I believe you probably did. Fair play if you called it. It still probably won't happen, is my gut feeling, because I still think Leicester will take a lot of points between now and the end of the season. You're talking about Leicester finishing on 110 points. That's roughly the figure that you're going to be at. I mean, Leeds could finish on plus 100 and not win the division. It's wild. So, I hope it happens. But let's one step at a time. Let's win the game on Friday first.
Interesting one here from Scott as well, a Leicester fan as well. From a Leicester point of view, we need to come out, want to fight from the start, but in reality, it's a must not lose for me. Just interesting, Scott, what's the vibe at Leicester with Maresca at the minute? Because there's been a bit of discontentment. What's going on there? I'd love to get your opinion on that.
I think that's an interesting thing, Brownie, in Jay. I think that comment from Scott sums it up. It's like Leeds are probably going to go. Let me rephrase that. From what he said, in reality, it's a must not lose. And I think that's Leicester's mentality in terms of they just don't want to lose, which I appreciate is kind of suspect from Leeds. But Leeds are going to go out there and attack out from the minute that whistle goes. It's not a lose game. It's we're going to win this game, and I think that's where, like you said, the whole atmosphere, Friday night under the lights, everything, it all just comes together. And I just think, I don't know. I've got a feeling it could be quite comfortable for you guys. I could be wholly wrong on that.
Well, apart from the Southampton away game, we've pretty much turned up in every pressure game, haven't we? Like every
West Brom, you could argue as well, Brownie. I mean, the West Brom away game, you could probably argue. But I agree with Lou. I said in the review, I thought we'd win this game 3-1. We don't look like conceding at the moment. I don't know, I'm putting us down to concede one there. Leicester have got a lot of firepower, but I'm interested to see how they're going to create chances. Like, what kind of chances are they going to be able to create? Because since the turn of the year, we're just not even conceding a chance, let alone a goal. So
just to put you on the spot, though, you are definitely not going to come out and say that you will destroy the opposition.
Look, right. In my defence with this, right, because what you're referring to is when I said we'd come out and we'd steamroll Southampton. Southampton were on the back of 4 straight defees going into that game. Yeah. And we started with Liam Cooper at the centre back. And
I'm surprised you didn't edit that in that video at the start.
Joe Rodon should have come back in, and we stunk the place out that day. We did not have a good day.
You were fair afterwards. I just want to make sure that you're not too confident.
I'm not saying that.
I've bigged you up and said that I think you'll win the game, but. That's
I'm definitely not saying that, Steve.
Yeah. Exciting end to the season for Leeds anyway. We're going to move on to Huddersfield Town. Lee here. Just hope the Huddersfield mouth in on.
Unfortunately.
Well, Lee, sorry to disappoint you, my friend.
Who was that?
Football show. That was our mate Lee, big fan.
Oh,
right. Big fan. Comments
good to see you, Lee, too.
He wants an autograph, Steve.
Does he? Well, he's not getting one.
Steve, big week, Huddersfield Town, new manager appointed. We will get to that in more detail in a minute, but let's start with the weekend's game against Hull, a 2-1 loss, and a bit of a difficult one really. QPR and Sheffield Wednesday winning puts the pressure on. A lot of chances for Town though, really. I mean, it was I guess what you could call it unfortunate, but what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, just before that, Brownie, we not had a chance to just mention the Sunderland game as well. I mean, that was a terrific victory. One that I didn't expect. I thought it'd be a very tough game, and going into the whole game, after the Sunderland win, I was very buoyant. I thought, why not? Yes, I think Hull are a better side than Sunderland, and I think we virtually all agree on this podcast that Michael Beale is a terrible manager, and that's why he's been sacked today at Sunderland.
Do you just think that you caught him at the right time with that?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah,
because the Beale situation.
Yeah, because I don't think he fell off a cliff at Sunderland. but there was definitely something wrong there, and you could tell, like in the ground on the day, like the players they kind of were up for it, but we were just more up for it. And I mean, Worthy's done an unbelievable job, to go into the 4 fixtures, that we had. I mean, I was saying before we sacked Darren Moore, I was very nervous about the next 4 fixtures because Sunderland, Hull, Southampton, and obviously coming up this weekend, they're 4 very, very difficult fixtures when you look at it. All playoff sides, and Southampton even better than that. So for me to get 3 points out of Sunderland, then okay, we've lost against Hull, but put up an absolutely magnificent challenge against them, and only we're unlucky to not nick a point in the last minute. Poor defending at the end. I don't know why. I think it's Radoni. I don't know why he's gone with his foot. Should have just gone with his head. But anyway, it's a bit of pill to swallow, really, after what was a great performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a mention on Worthington there as well. You've touched on it. What's the future of him? Do you think he will end up being a manager permanently in the future, or is he just going to?
Who knows? That's up to his direction, really. I mean, Worthy is very interested in the academy setup. Got pretty much a job for life at Town. Well, he's doing well at that. And maybe that's the direction that he wants to go in. A lot of these coaches, they just stick to academy football and develop youngsters, and that becomes their sort of speciality, doesn't it? But I don't see why he couldn't manage Town in the future if he's going to get that sort of level of performance out of the players. I mean, that was 10 times above anything we saw under the previous 23 games under Darren Moore, even in the 4 wins, that he got on the board. So for me, it was an excellent period of time being an interim manager, and one that I thoroughly enjoyed, even though we only got 1 win and 2 defeats out of it.
Yeah. Ian asked here, Steve, has the new man taken over at Town today? Well, they've got the new man in. It's Andre Brightonwriter. They've been appointed on a 2.5 years contract. He arrives at Town. He's got promotions under his belt with SC Paderborn and also Hannover 96 to the Bundesliga. And he's also guided FC Zurich to a Swiss Super League title in 2022. He's had about a year away from the game. Kind of came out of the blue this a little bit, didn't it, Steve? It was not a name that we knew anything about really a few weeks ago. I've got to confess, I wasn't really aware of this guy before obviously moving to Town, but obviously with foreign managers, that's frequently the case. What was your reaction to it? Are you happy with this appointment, and what are Huddersfield Town getting with Brightonwriter?
Mate, a week ago, I didn't even know Andre Brightonwriter was a human being on the planet. So, if I'm completely honest, it was a bit of a shock. I had to do my research, but luckily enough, we've got some very intelligent chaps on the podcast who kind of know his style and have seen a little bit of his football before. And yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a risky appointment. I think it's riskier than going for somewhere like Michael Duff or someone like Paul Eckingbottom, who supposedly turned down the chance to manage us. That's his loss at the end of the day. If he didn't want to come, then fine, fair enough. And Duff, who knows whether he refused to relocate. I predict that probably was the thing that happened there. And to me, that's fine as well. That's he made his choice and we've made ours. And his record's pretty good if you look at it, really. I mean, to get 2 teams up to the Bundesliga, particularly in Paderborn, that nobody kind of expected to get promoted, a bit like Town when we got to the Premier League, is magnificent achievement. And then to win a title in Switzerland with Wagner managing Young Boys at the time, which is the other big team in Switzerland in that league, a terrific achievement as well. Very sort of defensively solid, plays attacky football on the counter attack, and likes to sort of tinker with formations and try and solve problems at clubs that they've clearly been doing badly before. He's had a few formations at all three of them clubs really, and so he hasn't really got. He's got a set style, but I think he's pretty flexible in how he can play that style to the players that are in that squad. And we've shown under Worthy that there's no point having six behind the ball. Let's just have a go at it. Let's just see what we can do. And I think that's his kind of style. We've not heard from him yet, really. He put a little Instagram post together, or his PR team or whatever did, and that was lovely. But I'm looking forward to the first press conference when we got some meat on the bone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Watford up next, his first game in charge, who had a little bit of a poor run, but won their last game. Is that the kind of game you want to be coming into straight off the bat as a new manager?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Watford aren't, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're anything. I wouldn't say they're massively better than Hull or Sunderland. Certainly not. They've got some good players, but we've shown that we can beat Watford very recently in the past. I think it's a good game to set us up for before we go into the little West Yorkshire derby. It's kind of the appetizer before the main meal, where we get to eat Somerville and go for breakfast. So yeah, it's good really.
You must be dreading that game this time round, Steve, right?
Not as much as I was under Darren Moore.
That's true. That's true.
At least I know Tom Edwards isn't going to be playing.
How worried are you though in terms of a new man coming in and trying to get his ideas across in a short space of time? I mean, it's sat in 20th at the moment. As we mentioned, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, both win. Millwall on a terrible run of form though, so they look as if they're really sinking like a stone at the moment. But it's a lot of pressure, isn't it, to get this right now, because there's no room for error, is there really?
It is, but the one thing I'd say about it is they've clearly done their homework this time, which they didn't do under Darren Moore, even though they said that they did. And, he plays a very similar kind of style to Worthy from what I understand. So that'll suit the players. Darren tried to teach them how to play defensive football. Well, I don't even know what he tried to teach them, but it didn't bloody work, whatever it was. So, this guy has a bit of a record. He clearly has worked with a good standard quality of player. I thought Bolker coming in as a new signing, magnificent pace at the back. Let's hope he can keep fit, because in the game against Sunderland, he was absolutely terrific before he had to go off, and that will make a big difference in our side. So, yes, I understand your point about a short space of time to get his stuff across, but we've had 6 managers in like blooming 12 months or whatever. The squad's used to it now, aren't they? So they're changing style and a different voice and whatever. So it's not like it's a new phenomenon, is it? So let's just hope it gets going quick. Had his first training session today, apparently. So let's see.
It's a risk, isn't it? It's one of them for me. It can either be a stroke of genius or an absolute disaster. It's unlikely to be somewhere in the middle because of the position that you find yourself in. I think if the players, and I'm sure they will have looked at this between, the guys making the decision, but if the players are the type of players that can adapt to the style and the way that he wants to play, then it should work well. I mean, Millwall are dropping like an absolute stone down there. They could be your safety net, really, because I actually think that Sheffield Wednesday and QPR they've got a bit about them. They're starting to pick up a little bit of form, both of them. QPR, I would be stunned if they end up going down. They've had such a bad season, but they've got quality within that team. So it'll be interesting.
The only thing I'd say is that Sheffield Wednesday are below 1 point per game at the moment. QPR are also just below 1 point per game. Rotherham are massively underneath it. Millwall are 1 point per game, very similar to us, but they're on a terrible run of form. So, and there are other sides up there. I don't think Stoke's safe at all, and I don't think Plymouth is either. So there's sides that can be pulled back into this yet. And
I was going to say exactly the same. I think Millwall are in big, big trouble. They've just appeared out of nowhere. They've got to be looking at it thinking, well, someone's got to be there thinking, why do we sack Gary Rowett? Because they've done it and asked them. I
100%.
think they're in huge trouble, Millwall.
And it's like it's 2015 all over again for us at Town. You know, it's weird how things go in cycles in it, but we had the same thing in 2015 where we sacked Powell because he didn't play very good football, didn't have a style of play and couldn't get the best out of the players and was boring to watch and we were losing supporters. We've done the same with Darren Moore. It's just under a different ownership. And hopefully this ownership's got a bit more money to put into the manager than what we did under Wagner. You know, as good as what Dean Oil was, hopefully Kevin can put a bit more muscle into the money to put it into the squad now. He's shown that in January. Hopefully he does that with Andrea in the summer. But I'm amazed that we're back to 2015 again, where we're just hoping that something sparks in a new manager that we've never even heard of, foreign coach, German. I mean, how many similarities do you want to 2015?
I was just going to say, Downsy, I was just going to say that. Do you think we've almost spoken to Wagner and people who've been associated with the club before to get a bit of an inside track, and also he's able to bring his own group of people in, because we know that managers when they move like to bring their own people in, but that's another massive risk if you try and swap a lot of people, and Worthington's got that inside knowledge, he's got that little bit of experience to help him along the way. So I think that's another question you'd want to be asking as well.
Yeah, I think he will bring his own assistant in. I think he's called Thomas. I think I might be. Like I said, we haven't really heard a lot about his team or from him himself. So I'm definitely excited to see that. I think they will probably get Worthy to help him along, and Kev Russell and Michael Tong, who's worked there in the background. So that definitely will happen, Lou. Yeah, 100%. But he will bring his own assistant in at least. Just like Wagner did with Christoph Buhler, and let's just see what it happens. But I think there's a time in every club where you've just got to do something different, and once again, it's our time to do something different. And I'm glad that we haven't gone for Michael Duff, because that'd have just maybe ended up in the same place as what we ended up with Moore.
Yeah. Is there an avenue to say though, Steve, that it was then third or fourth choice? Because it's quite possible that it were Heckingbottom, Duff, then him.
Well, who knows? I mean, we might have even tried to get Cooper. Who knows? I wouldn't have thought so. But you never know, do you? You don't know what conversations people have had with people. But what I will say is, just going back on Lou's point about the Wagner thing, people will definitely 110% probably ask David's opinion about this guy. Because Wagner does, we know, historically watch German football like an owl watches its prey at night. You know what I mean? He knows German football inside out, and he always will. And so he definitely will have heard of Andrea, and I bet Andrea's heard of him, because these people know each other, don't they? So,
and they've probably played it quite shrewd as well, haven't they, Steve, as well, I think, in terms of the ownership with Kevin, because, they've been, from some quarters, been criticised a bit, probably been a bit too open, a bit too communication channels out there, but actually they've played the cards really close to the chest when they've appointed a manager and the talks. It has been going on for a couple of weeks. And like I say, even now when you've appointed a manager, there's not a massive press conference, there's not a big launch about it. I think they're just trying to make sure that if he does well and gets a few results, that's when they might just start shouting about it. But they seem to have gone about it in quite a shrewd manner, actually.
Yeah, I know we have to move on to City, but just my last point. Exactly, Lou. 100% correct. They've learned from the mistake that they made with Darren Moore, coming out about a big press conference. Darren's our man, long-term deal. This is the future. Blah 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 blah. Got it. I can't believe how wrong they got it. And this time, it just shows that the people at the top, particularly Kevin, have learnt a lesson, and it proves that he's learning about English football, what not to do, what to do, and how to do it, and when to do it, and how to communicate it. And to me, that shows good ownership. That shows a level of understanding and what's the word? Sort of being proved with how you go about things. So I'm excited, mate. I think it's an exciting signing. Appointment. It's risky, but why not? Why not? We haven't got out to lose, have we? We're going to
or he's just winging it and he's pure desperate.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's hope he's not a scaffolder in Germany, like probably was a scaffolder. By the way, if any Town fans get a chance, please go read the article in the Mirror, because that tells you what an absolute, he was.
Who was the guy that took over from Wagner?
It was Jan Sievert, who was the.
It's going to be him.
Yeah.
Did Wagner recommend him? Because if he did, you
No.
better recommendation this time, don't you?
They just came from the same route.
Well played, guys. Well played.
That's hurting. That's
It has. It's like a dagger.
It killed
I
him.
hope Mark Hughes comes back to your club and relegation.
Hey, we've got loads.
3-5-2.
Back. We've got loads, mate. Not just you.
Just a quick shout out. Andrew Pinfield, watching all the way from Adelaide. Brother of Jonathan, by any chance? Halifax Town fan?
good old Andrew. I know Andrew very well.
Yeah,
I know Andrew very well.
I hope to have you on board, mate.
Just to let Lee know that the Huddersfield mouth will now shut up. So that's
He can tune back in now.
Just to have a little shout, Brownie, on the comment from Arthur there about Gary O'Neill. I found myself just sitting the other day after they beat Spurs and just thinking to myself, because I kind of mocked him at Bournemouth, and then when we got the Wolves job, I was kind of like, what a terrible appointment that is. He has done a fantastic job this season.
Yes.
I think he's done such a top job. So I think that's a great shout. Great shout.
It's amazing how it's turned around for him, hasn't it? It seemed to be from that Monday night football appearance as well. So Jesse Marsh, maybe the same will happen there. We'll wait and see.
Auditioning.
Yeah, we're going to move on now to Bradford City. Well, Gaz, has this been about the best week of the season so far? 3 victories on the spin, another one at the weekend. A little bit of a different game though, a bit of a grind, but another 3 points.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? We seem to be really Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. We went like 8-game winning run, went out under Alexander, and had an 8-game winning run. Then went 8 without a win, and now we've won 3 on the bounce again. It's just we're just so, and that's why I can't really see us making them playoff positions. I think we're too hit and miss. We just 1 minute we're brilliant. Well, we're never brilliant, but 1 minute we play reasonably well, and the next minute we're just awful. So, but 3 wins, you can't complain. Like I say, and who would have thought that we'd go to Wrexham, and and that'd be where we'd turn it round, and performances up to just before that were pretty poor, and then we've gone there, we've put a defensive shift in, we've scored in the last minute, and then we've backed it up against MK Dons. The MK Dons game was a bizarre game, really, because I think we had like 29% possession, and that MK Dons are always going to have a lot of the ball, but they look so good going forward, but defensively they were just had such a soft underbelly. Every time we nicked it off them on the break, we looked like we could score. So, that were a good result, 4-0. And then the weekend, a dire game, really attritional. Both teams playing long ball. You just felt that as a Bradford fan, we would lose that game because we always lose to teams down at the bottom of the league. And we'd already lost to Sutton once this season. I think they'd only won 4 games all season, one of which was against us. And then the new manager hadn't won since he'd come in. So it was all set up for him to win. But they probably were the better side in parts of that first half, but we took our chance when it came, and it was a great finish from Callum Taverner to get us over the line. And then, things are looking up at the moment. People really happy, especially seeing as Harry Lewis is getting sort of really negative comments at Carlisle, and Sam Walker's actually been putting some really good performances for us between the sticks over the last couple of weeks. So, people are feeling positive. We've got the semi-final tomorrow night in the Bristol Street Motors, so we could have a trip to Wembley to look forward to. And suddenly, even though I don't think we'll make it, we're 2 points off the playoffs.
Yeah. It's looking like a really clever bit of business, actually, isn't it? Harry Lewis going and Sam Walker coming in. I mean, it at the time, it kind of caused a little bit of an uproar, I guess, although he's not been on the form he was previous season. But it actually looks like a really good transfer management, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Harry Lewis, let's not get it wrong. He was absolutely brilliant last season. Him and Andy Cook carried us, really, for large parts of the season. Whatever happened in the summer, whether it was that bid from Barnsley and him not going, he just hasn't been the same this year at all. And I could understand people being disappointed that we sold him to Carlisle. Obviously, I don't know how much the fee was, but you'd have thought he was a young keeper, and people wanted him to be replaced with another young keeper, a kind of project, and he wasn't. We've gone with Sam Walker, who's a mate of Colin Doyle's, who Colin knows from Kilmarnock, and people were disappointed. But Lewis seems to have carried on his form from this season at Carlisle. They're not happy with him at all. Shipping a lot. I know they're bottom of the league and they're a long way from safety, so he's not gone into an ideal situation. But yeah, they're not happy with his performances. I saw a goal he conceded on Saturday. It was a complete mess, really. Looks shot for all confidence. And Sam Walker's come in. He's commanded his box. He's taking balls in the air, which Harry Lewis never did. He's an experienced pair of hands. I think he's communicating well with the back four, and he's just surprised a lot of people, really, with how good he's been. Touch wood so far, and hopefully he can carry it on.
Yeah, Graham Alexander as well. He's been quite brave in his team selections, isn't he? Because again, against Sutton United, a few eyebrows raised the team selection. They ended up with like 6 defenders starting the game. But I mean, it's paying off, isn't it? Certainly the last few games.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken strongly on this podcast about how I'm not going to bash his style of play. I keep saying it every time because we bash Hughes' style of play, and this is the opposite of that. So you've got to be careful what you wish for. But the one thing I do criticise him on has been his team selections. There's always a surprise in there. Just when you think he's you might be reading it down, and you think, oh, he's picked what we want this week, but then there'll be someone else in there. It's been Clark Oduor for the last few weeks, who people have not been happy playing. But the last 2 games, MK Dons and Saturday, he was brilliant. He played really well, probably his best 2 performances of the season. So maybe Graham Alexander sticking with him has been positive for him as well as the team. And then, like you said, Saturday, the surprise was that there were 6 defenders in the team. There were 4 centre-halves and 2 full-backs started the game on Saturday. I think the main reason behind that was we were short in midfield. Richie Small was suspended. Kevin McDonald had played on the Tuesday night against MK Dons, and I think there's a general feeling that he ain't going to play 2 games in a week at his age. So we were short for a partner for Alex Gilead in centre mid. And we're all sitting in the pub saying, well, which centre-half's going to play in centre mid? And I don't think anyone would have picked Sam Stubbs. I've watched Sam Stubbs a lot since he's come to us, and I've never once thought he's a decent centre. He'd make a good central midfielder. But yeah, he played alongside Alex Gilead, and he did all right, to be fair. We stuck with the same 3 centre-backs, Kieran Kelly, Matty Platt, John Tompkinson. We had Halliday right back. We brought Ryder in at left back because Richards is injured. And although Gilead had played left wing back against MK Dons, he needed to go back into midfield because we were short. And then we put Stubbs alongside him, and he did all right. I mean, you could tell he's not a midfielder, but he did a job there as a holding midfielder. Probably not a long-term thing, but yeah, for one game against bottom of the league, it works. And yeah, so however eyebrow-raising it was, we got the result, which is all that matters, really.
Yeah, and you've mentioned there it's the Football League Trophy semi-final against Wickham. It's been a nice kind of distraction, hasn't it? The Football League Trophy. You've had good results all the way along, and it's been a nice distraction for the season, but could end up with a visit to Wembley, unbelievably.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought it at all, really, the season that we've been having, but yeah, we've just been pulling results out again in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. I think we're unbeaten. I think we're playing. Ironically, the team selections that he's made in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy were the ones that the fans have probably wanted him to make in the league. But yeah, we've got the results. It's obviously a tough game. Wickham seem like they're safe in the division above us, so you know that they're presumably quite a better team than us on paper. But when you're unbeaten and we're at home and there's Wembley to play for, you know, why not? It could end up being, like you say, a saving grace for the season. But then when you're 2 points off the playoffs, you know, you're thinking maybe we could have 2 trips to Wembley this season. It could all turn around. You just don't know what's going to happen with Bradford. This is what we're like. We're so Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute we're brilliant, the next minute we're awful. And yeah, so like I say, Wembley could be going to Wembley come Wednesday night.
Who's the other semi-final, Gaz?
It's Blackpool against Peterborough, I think.
Oh, that's a tough game, that really, isn't it? You Blackpool are going well, and Peterborough playoffs, are they?
It's League 1 and League 2, isn't it? So you're always going to probably, as a League 2 team, go up against a League 1 team, aren't you? So
I think I'd rather have Blackpool in the final if I had to pick.
I think they're both above Wickham in the league in League 1, so it's probably the best draw that we could have got, especially, you know, we're at home as well. We played Wickham in the FA Cup earlier in the season, again at Valley Parade. They beat us, I think it was 2-1 they beat us, but we were unlucky in that game, to be honest. We second half, we had a real good go. Probably could have taken it to a replay if not won it, but yeah, they beat us 2-1. So the teams will know a lot about each other. It could be a cagey affair, but hopefully we can get on the right side of it this time. And the luck that we're missing in the FA Cup, it goes well in our favour in this Bristol Street Motors. But yeah, I agree. I think Blackpool, Peterborough were the two to avoid, really. And if we could get Blackpool in the final, it might be quite nice.
You've pulled off bigger cup shocks, haven't you, Gaz? You know what I mean?
Yeah, years ago. I know Steve's had to go all the way back there with our intro video to find some Bradford celebrations, 10 years back. But yeah, we got a good cup history, League Cup, FA Cup, under Parkinson, Chelsea. I think that was 2015, and 2013 we had the cup run where we beat Arsenal, Wigan. So why not?
I was just going to say in terms of
good shout, Ryan. Good shout, buddy.
I was just going to say in terms of the league, guys. Obviously, you were down there, weren't you, 3 games ago? I mean, you obviously the thing happened on the BBC. I mean, it was like, doom and gloom. Like literally, Bradford might, get pulled into the worst position possible. But it shows you 3 games and 3 good results, and it can turn all around just as quick as it can go bad, really.
Bottom of the League 2, Steve's not the same as the bottom of the Championship, Stop trying to make yourself feel better.
No, I'm on.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like there's issues at the club, and 3 wins aren't going to change what the problems are. But yeah, we're away from that bottom of the table now. You'd hope that the pressure's off a little bit, and we can sort of enjoy the rest of the season and see where it takes us. Sometimes playing with the pressure off can help. And like I say, it's not going to change the long-term issues at the club and the lack of a long-term plan that we need. But if we can play without the pressure on, there's always a team comes from nowhere in the table. So who knows?
I think the difference is, guys, isn't it? Like we were saying with Alexander, in the way you've gone, is that because you went on that unbeaten run for so long, 7 games, how many games it was, and then you had that really bad spell, and now you're winning games. If it had been relatively consistently inconsistent, you probably wouldn't have had that noise around it, would you? If you'd have had the odd win and then a loss, and then the odd couple of wins and then a loss. But because it's becoming in 3 chunks, it becomes quite noticeable. But in fairness, the form is pretty good if you take it as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, Graham Alexander, there's always sort of wild clay, it always feels like one extreme to the other at City, but he pointed out that we'd only lost something like 3 in 17 games, and it's been the draws that have hurt us, really. We've drawn a lot of games that we probably should have won under Alexander, and during that winless run that we had. He said he's changed a couple of things in how we start games, because we were conceding some early goals as well, and that seems to have helped. So, what's also interesting is we hadn't won since the Doncaster game just before Christmas, and that was when Jamie Walker got injured, who's probably our best player, he's our main threat. There's rumours that his injury is a bit worse than they first thought, and he could be out for a while. So to get that monkey off our back and win a little bit, without him, it's got to be a big boost. And like I said, Clark Odewar, who was getting a lot of stick and people don't rate at all, played really well in the last 2 games in sort of Jamie Walker's position. So, you've just got to take it as it comes. Like I said, the pressure's off now, so we should be safe. We've got cup games on Wednesday night. We could have a nice end to the season.
And you've got fixtures coming up against teams in and around you, so if you start winning them, you really are looking up potentially into playoffs. Obviously, if it goes a different way, then it becomes a very average season, doesn't it? But, you've got Barrow, Accrington coming up, and Notts County. If you start winning those games, people are going to be, eyebrows raised at City, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of clubs in that little patch sort of just outside the playoffs. I think there's two points separate quite a few teams. The teams above us have games in hand. So, it's all going to... But you would imagine that because they've got games in hand, they're probably going to be playing each other with those games in hand as well. Yeah. So they're going to be taking points off each other. Like I say, you can't get too excited after 3 games, but it's nice to be talking about a winning run rather than a losing run that we were talking about before. And obviously, tomorrow night will probably be a big thing because sorry, not tomorrow night. Wednesday night will be a big thing because if you've got Wembley to look forward to, everything's positive, isn't it? Again, and you can hopefully take that positive feeling into the league games and go on from there. But yeah, the pressure's off. Let's see how we get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed. Good stuff. Gaz. Okay, we're going to drop down now to non-league. and we're going to have a chat with Mr. Foy, Shaman Stats. Halifax Town, it's all good news at the Shea as well, isn't it? It's 3 wins on the bounce. We'll start with the Maidenhead victory. Dave, talk us through that one.
Yeah, it's crazy how much. I think this is maybe the second or third week in a row that almost my review is going to mirror what Gaz has said with Bradford. Both had 3 on the spin. We're both just outside the playoffs again. We've all got teams around that have got games in hand, whereas we were looking over our shoulder a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's obviously nice. It's nice to get a run going. It's just carrying on what we said, or what I said after the Dorking game, where their manager had said had been caught a bit cold by a change in tactics by Millington. Maidenhead in the first half, we only went in at 1-0 up. I mean, we absolutely dominated that first half. And crucially, like we did at Dorking, we scored early. Aidan George got his first goal for the club, and it was a real slick move. A great forward through pass. Not seen enough of them really this season. Aidan just puts the ball through the defender's legs, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Slots it into the bottom right-hand corner. As I say, we had a few more chances on target. We could have done, we could have maybe done. We're going 2 or 3 up, at the break. There'd probably been not too many complaints, but second half, tepid, quite tepid in places. Obviously, we conceded an equaliser. It was sort of a scrappy equaliser to concede. The ball bouncing around in the box, pinballed into the back of Sam Johnson's net. It may have even been an own goal. Rescued in the 98th minute, though, with the winner of meant to be 7 minutes played added on. The problem was Maidenhead made a rod for their own back because they took about 2 minutes to take a corner. They tried to be too fancy and do that thing where they roll the ball and somebody comes in the corner and just shield it. Didn't work for them. And that's where the extra minutes come from that we got as winner in. What happens at non-league? I don't think it happens in Football League. Anywhere south of Birmingham, all southern teams set up, they're all the same. They're just all the same. They dive, they feign injuries, they're always getting refs here, they time waste if they're leading. They're all cut from exactly the same cloth. Like, if you weren't playing Maidenhead, you could just replace it with Woking, Bromley. You know what I mean? They just play the same tactics, and I don't know why. That just seems to be the way it is. It's been like that for years. So, as I say, they made a rod for their own back because we scored in injury time from them trying to run the clock down in injury time. So it's nice.
It's quite refreshing, though, Dave, that the referees actually added on time, though, because that's really good to hear, because normally they just play the 5, what they've advertised, and just quit, don't they?
Mm.
But it's so quick to score when
the cross comes shot across the box and Cosgrave reacts.
Yeah, a bit of a different story against Woking, though, wasn't it? It was kind of reverse. You were kind of hanging on a bit, weren't you, really, after 2 goals? I was trying to watch the first goal against Woking. I was like, has the keeper punched that in, or is it? Have you actually? Has Summerfield scored it or not? I was trying to watch it. I was trying to watch it. I was like, I couldn't really tell.
I think about 3 or 4 things happen. Andrew Oluwabore shields the defender at the near post. He makes sure in on the near post. The goalkeeper's maybe 2 or 3 yards off his line, but most goalkeepers are at that level. Luke Summerfield's threatened to do that for quite a while. And I think the goalie does eventually palm it or punch it into the back of his own net. Yeah. But whatever he does, I think it's going in the back of the net. The curl, the swing on it's just that good that it would have gone in. He could have stood still, it'd have gone in. He could have done anything, it'd have gone in. By all counts. The Hottie goal is the second. Saying it was a shot from distance that just bounced up before the goalkeeper, over the top of the goalkeeper's dive. But again, it's similar to Maidenhead, where in the first half we've been very, very good. We've gone in a 2-0 lead, and it's like, if we keep this up, we're going to get 3 points. And again, second half, Woking have nothing to lose by coming out at 2-0 down. And I think we've been caught a little bit flat-footed. I know now as we've gone through like the wet seasons and we're starting to get into, games now where we've had 3 home games in a week because postponements have piled up a little bit. The pitch is starting to get a bit boggy, a bit heavy. It's something that Chris Millington's spoke about certainly over the last few games, and I think you could tell that with some tired legs. We made all 3 substitutions in the second half, both Tuesday and Saturday. Most were like for like. In fact, a few of them were like midfielders into defenders, but we don't have a choice because we've just got an injury list that's as long as my arm, and we're not even willing to throw Justin Iwobi on for 5 or 10 minutes, or Jamil I can never say his name. Jamal C. He's on the bench and just never gets played. Although strangely on Saturday we made I think we brought a substitution on. We brought a midfielder into defence, and we had a perfectly good centre back, Tom Wilson, on the bench who didn't come on. And some people were saying on the forum, I don't know whether they were just trying to kick up a bit of a stink for a reaction. They were saying that Tom Wilson certainly didn't look happy when he was not brought on when a centre back was needed. So, we've won 3 games in a row. That's the main thing to come out of this.
Yeah, it's
Did you go to the Woking game, Dave?
No.
I was going to ask you if you'd seen how Timmy Odesina had played, because he's on loan from Bradford, and he was signed.
Even if I'd have gone, I wouldn't have been able to tell you, Gaz, because I've got no interest in the opposition. I'd
bothered at all.
just been like, did he even play? I'd have had no idea. I know that Sean Dyche's son was on loan at Woking because Sean Dyche was in the crowd. But other than that, I couldn't even name one Woking player.
Not bothered, are you, Dave?
No, I really am. Like, this is the thing that I try and say to people. I support Halifax, so I can talk to you about what we're doing. Unless they do something that's absolutely spectacular, I don't remember specific names for opposition because I'm watching my own team. Like, it'll just be their right back or their centre back or their goalkeeper.
Hilarious! I love it.
You know what I mean? Like,
I love it. I love it.
Just not interested.
That's great.
He may have scored. Did he score actually for Woking? I'm not even sure he scored.
You wouldn't
Well,
know.
the YouTube channel.
If you don't care, it doesn't matter.
There's a YouTube channel. I don't know what the name of the guy is. I'll have to put a link to it. But he does like Halifax Town fan cam, and he's got the entire highlights of the game from wherever he sits. It's
Is he behind the goal?
Yeah.
I think his name's Stipen. Could be Luke Walsh.
Something like that.
There's a couple of people that record from the crowd because I gather up all the goal videos as soon as they're online. Like, I have an extensive vault of Halifax Town goals.
Yeah, you do. I see you popping up on the Facebook group with this goal from 1997 or something.
Yeah, that's just how it is. I mean, I must have 100 gig of goals from.
So what makes you pick out a certain goal on a certain day? Is it like the date?
I've labelled them as just a date. So today I'd search 19/02 and it'll just bring up every 19 for the second.
Wow.
For instance, because I've just took that long to label all of them.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, I can. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to ask me about anything from Halifax's history, within reason, I could find it within a couple of minutes because it's just coded and catalogued in such a way.
Well, I think Jason's there. He's doing some prep now. He's going to get you with something.
No. I'm going to respond to a comment.
This is what we're trying to say. Like, I don't know who scored for Woking. I haven't got a clue. But Luke Summerfield scored his third of the season. Hottie got his fourth. Do you know what I mean? It's our 13th win of the season. I could talk to you all day about Halifax Town. All I know about Woking is they're in the bottom 4 and they're probably the biggest team in Surrey. That's it. And they played red and white.
Really. I should have known that.
Yorkshire, we don't care on this show. Up next, it's a difficult one though. Tomorrow night against Chesterfield, the league leaders. They did drop points, but it was, to be fair to them, against second place Bromley. How do you see that one going, Dave?
I mean, despite that, there's still a 20-point gap in the between first and second. Some people other supporters are saying it's a bit of a free hit because we've not really got anything to lose. But if we're really serious about trying to get into them top 7, because as I say, it sort of echoes what Gaz said previous. We're 9th at the minute, but we're a point outside the playoffs. But everybody above us have got 1, 2, and 3 games in hand. What's quite nice at the minute is Hartlepool are 10th or 11th, and we've got a 6-point cushion on them. We've still got Hartlepool to play yet. We've still got Hartlepool away to play yet. But it's nice that we're in that group and then there's like a gap. Like, we have a cushion. And it's crazy what like a week to 2 week in football can do. Because, I mean, as I was saying, I was on here, I don't know, 4 weeks ago saying, we're 10 points from relegation and we're probably not going to make the playoffs. We're slipping out. We're bang out of form. We're bottom of the form table. And it's all changed round, It's very similar to Wrexham at home last season. The only thing I hoped for that is we'd got to Wembley the week before. I was like, I hope we at least get to celebrate as supporters and they don't score early and just absolutely hammer us. And I think it's the same tomorrow. I think as long as Chesterfield don't score too early, I think we might be able to build something. All in all, we could have got something from the game back in September. We went 2-0 down in the blink of an eye. We managed to get it back to 2 apiece. We could have maybe got a draw, maybe won it. We went down to 10 men. They went down to 10 men, and they managed to get a sort of late winner. So if there's one team, I suppose, if we're just going on that could cause Chesterfield problems just by looking at the result and the performance, it is us. We're just going to have to see. I mean, it's good to see Aidan George in form. It'd be interesting to see what he does against more, in inverted commas, a capable backline and goalkeeper, or how it's just how we're going to match up man for man, basically. It'll be interesting to see how we match up.
How's Jack getting on, Dave?
Yeah, somebody mentioned it in the comments earlier. Yeah, he's doing okay. Yeah, he's doing okay. He was making sub appearances when he made his debut as a sub. I think he made 2 sub appearances, but he's made 2 or 3 starts in a row now. I think he's done. Yeah, that's the comment from Arthur. Yeah, I think he's done one lot of 90 minutes. He's tended to do 60 to 70 minutes if he started. And yeah, he's been pretty good. He's given a pretty positive interview with the Halifax Courier that was out a few days ago. That he'd been interviewed by Tom Scargill. All the signs are promising. I think it's the link with Andy Cooper that's helped bring him to the Shea. The same with Jamil C. He's just got that link, and it's funny that people say Chris Millington, because he's a new manager. I mean, everybody has to start somewhere. He doesn't have the contacts in football to bring in a better caliber of player, but we sort of do. I mean, we've sold Millie Ali, brought him in, and he's been sold on for money. Jack Jenkins at some point will probably leave for money, or will go on to have a better career. Kane Thompson-Summers. I mean, the list almost goes on. Rob Harker could be. He's got some sort of issues at the minute, and I think it's come out. It could have been personal reasons. They've said he's been injured. He's just dropped down the pecking order. We've got some good young players, but we play like a team that's in the under-23. Sometimes we're good, sometimes we're bad, sometimes we're good at the back, sometimes we just go through every different scenario. Sometimes we're lucky, we're unlucky, we're good, we're bad, we're good at the back, we've been good up front. It's just the way it is. I think Luke Summerfield and Sam Johnson are the only 2 really experienced players in that side. Like, we don't have like a spine. I mean, Jamie Stott would be called experienced for our players, but he's still just 27. I think Johnson's just the other side of 30, and Luke Summerfield's 34, 35, and his game time is having to be managed very closely. But yeah, things are good at the minute. We go into tomorrow with no fear, really. I don't know. We tend to spring our injury updates on supporters after a starting lineup, so we may come into tomorrow walking wounded. Florent Hottie had only just come back after about a month out on Saturday and scored. He'd scored in the previous game at Fylde before he went off injured. I think anything we do that's good comes through Florent Hottie being in midfield and Kane Thompson-Summers being in form. And then other people around them can be good as well, like Jenkins or whatever. But the crucial cogs, especially in midfield, are KTS and Hottie being good.
Yeah.
And then everything else seems to happen around them that's good.
Yes, Dagenham and Redbridge at the weekend as well. And they're just below Hartlepool, I think, on the same number of points. And if you beat them, it's a bit more breathing space again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Dagenham away, Dagenham, at home, them being the hosts can be quite a tough game for us. We've only really beaten once, I think, in about 20 odd years. I mean, there'll be a good period of that where we won't have played them because we were down the leagues, and Dagenham had that run up to what is now League One. But I think until a few years ago, under Wild, we hadn't won in. I don't know whether Dagenham's now East London or Essex. It's some people say it's Essex, some people say it's East London, but it's in that area of the country. We don't have a great record away from home. We've drawn a fair few games down there, but we very rarely win. So, I mean, runs are there to be broken, but yeah, it's not a happy hunting ground.
No. Just it's a little bit off topic, but it was just something that flashed up about what do Halifax Town fans generally think of Chris Wilder? Then is he held in the highest regard? Because obviously he's kind of, I don't know, he's becoming a bit of a meme, isn't he, at the minute, with some of the comments he's had post match and everything. I mean, I don't know what you think, Dave, or anyone
There'll
else.
be a generation of supporters now that have never known Chris Wilder because they're too young, have never known Chris Wilder to be manager. You know, like when I was younger, I had to be told Rick Holden and Wayne Allison and such players had played for Halifax. I'd never actually seen it. But I mean, at the time when Chris Wilder were our manager, we obviously were going through financial difficulties. He always had his critics. It's good to see him do well. I think the benchmark was always, it's a bit like with Jamie Vardy. We always knew that Wilder would manage in the Football League, and we always knew that Vardy would play in the Football League. We never expected him to go up to the Premier League.
Yeah,
a little bit of the same with Chris Wilder. Obviously, did great things with Oxford.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. I want to say he shouldn't have really gone back to Sheffield United for the second time, but it is his club. He is a boyhood blade. Obviously, he did great things the first time round. They finished 9th in that COVID season where there were no supporters in stadiums, and they obviously just collapsed that next year. You know, they didn't have second season syndrome, or was it second season syndrome? Or
I think it was. I think it was
second
second
season
syndrome. Yeah, because Leeds just came up then, and
I think
he's not doing himself any favours, is he, with that sandwich with the linesman?
No.
But ever since, it's not as if he can make that statement and his teams have played well. They've been thumped 2 or 3 times since then. You know, so he's not. I mean, at the same time, he's not telling players to go on the pitch and make tackles like what Mason Holgate made yesterday, though. So it's, I don't know, he's held in fairly high regard, but he's not closely watched.
And he's telling his captain.
What was one of the tackles in Argate? Was it Bradford City? The player got tackled.
With the Park Avenue game.
Park Avenue, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was some meaty challenges over the weekend.
I think with Wilder, I think that there's certain recipes and certain situations that just fit. And I think his situation that he found himself in at Sheffield United the first time round, his new tactic with the wide centre-backs and the players that he had there at the time, I think it all just fit. But I think, truthfully, he's not a Premier League manager. And I think what's then happened since is that he might not even be a top-end Championship manager. And I think what's happened then since is he's kind of been found out. But because he achieved so much at Sheffield United and it was extraordinary, he's kind of still got that reputation. That's what I think. And I think we've seen, if you look back through, football history, you'll find other examples where that kind of falls into place. So, and I think he's just one of them. I think that circumstance at Sheffield United was an odd exception, but we saw at Middlesbrough. I mean, he were miles off it, wasn't he? Let's be fair, he were absolutely miles off it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't really judge his Watford one, can we? Because Watford did what Watford did at that time, where they just hired and fired like mad. So I don't think you were really given a fair crack of the whip at Watford. But excuse me, I totally agree with what you said. Yeah.
No. Okay, well, thanks for that, Dave. We're going to move on now to the rest of our non-league action with Lewis here. We're going to start up with Farsley Celtic. Lou, 2-1 loss to Chester and a bit of a contentious penalty, which was given a sending off as well for Tom Allen. Bit disappointing, unlucky, really. Should it have been a sending off? By all accounts, it was harsh.
Yeah, it sounded controversial from reports I've heard, but I think Farsley might be a little bit disappointed after recent run of form. Like you said, to probably come out with the wrong end of that result, especially when I take a 1-0 lead as well quite early on. Apparently there were over 1,000 there, which is a really good attendance at the Citadel. I know probably the majority will be Chester fans who travel in numbers, but it's weird to say Farsley will be disappointed with a loss against Chester. We probably wouldn't have said that, 2-3 years ago at all. And that shows how far they've come. So disappointing. And I think, losing Tom Allen is a massive blow for him. He's a big part of their back 3, back 4 at times however they're set up in attacking and defence. He's a, imperious figure. He's strong. He's a leader as well for the team. So, I think Clayton and the boys will miss him there, especially with what depends how many games he gets. It could be 1, could be 2, but it's not going to define the season. I think those kind of results probably indicate where Farsley are going to be towards the end of the season in terms of mid-table, and that's fine. That's more than a success, I think, for Farsley so far. Disappointing that they've probably lost the lead and not held on to a point at home, but they're still doing quite well actually at Farsley.
Yeah, and Ian Assey, is Noah Wadsworth a big loss for Farsley, Lou?
I think it's a good question, Ian. I think to an extent, I think we're getting into a good rhythm at Farsley. We're getting regular game time, in a good, strong physical league with a team who were, doing relatively well. There were no apart from normal game pressure, there was no, playoff pressure, no looking over the shoulder for relegation. But it's a good sign that, Bradford City, despite some of the injuries, have got are willing to call on Wadsworth, and I believe he was on the bench, wasn't he, Gaz, at the weekend? So
He was, yeah.
We must have some confidence in the lad to put him into that match day squad at home against Sutton. So yeah, it'll be a loss, and I think losing Allen and Wadsworth is gonna, is almost like a double blow for them. And what they want is just to make sure that they're not going to slip away too far away from a half decent finish to the season. And we've got probably another month until the non-league window ends, so to speak. So maybe Clayton might be in the market for a defensive player to just cover until the end of April. And it wouldn't surprise me if I brought somebody in, and if we've got good contacts, especially with Pav there, as well as kind of running the football operation side. He's got contacts around the local area, so I expect him to dip into the market and just see themselves over the line.
Yeah, and up next for Farsley, it is Blythe, and a chance to leapfrog them in the league as well there.
Yeah, and I think it's one that we'll be aiming to get at least a point from. Blythe have been okay since they've changed manager with John Shaw. Picked up some quite decent victories, but then lost 2-0 against Spennymoor, I believe, at the weekend, which was quite probably disappointing one, especially with Spennymoor's recent form. And again, it probably closes that gap from Spennymoor up towards the likes of Farsley and Blythe. And you wouldn't have had Spennymoor down there at all, to be fair, and until they've started picking up a couple of wins. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to Farsley just to get back on the road again and just get a few points under the belt. And Blythe they're always a tricky team to play against. They like to dominate possession and like to really stretch out the game both flanks. But Farsley are more than capable of going and getting a result.
Yeah, indeed. Moving on then to the Northern Premier League and Guiseley. Cracking win for Guiseley, 4-1 rather, over Morpeth Town. And I mean, it was just corner after corner, wasn't it? I mean, if I'd urge someone to go watch it, I've never seen this series of corners cause so much havoc. It's ridiculous.
100%. Four goals from 4 corners, and that's just exactly what, it's almost like music to the ears of any kind of manager, isn't it? We're in the press and the media at the top level of Arsenal and Arteta having a set piece coaches and all that kind of jazz, and it really does make a massive difference at any level. I think set pieces are so underrated, and I think Andy Welsh and the team there at Guys will be ecstatic to not only get a result like that, but to really make them opportunities count. Because in fairness, the Guys have been not the biggest of teams compared to what they have been in recent years, and compared to teams in and around them. But to kind of score the way they did, and they weren't mirror goals of each other. There were subtle differences watching them back, but ultimately the ball was put in an area that Guiseley attacked, and Morpeth will be gutted to not just concede 1-2, but to concede 4 goals from set pieces. And one or two of them have just half clearances. It isn't really good enough at that level, or at any level from a set piece. So it's refreshing probably for Andy and the team there, because they're well known for being quick on the counter attack, really going forward and driving at the defence. But if you're going to win, and you're going to win from set pieces, you'll take that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they hit the bar a couple of times as well, so it could have even further damage on them. I mean, looking at Guiseley now, they're in 7th, and they're only 4 points off second place Hyde, and they've got a game in hand. How do you see this kind of last quarter of the season, last third of the season going for them?
I said about 6 weeks ago, guys, they've got a bit of work to do to get in the playoffs. And at the moment, they're doing that work very well. Really impressive how they're going about the way they're playing, the way they're structured, the way they're attacking teams. They're looking a real threat. Obviously the result against Radcliffe was phenomenal, and we've seen what Radcliffe have done to other teams in the league. They drew against Ashton United away on quite a poor pitch, but they've squandered a penalty and squandered a few chances in front of goal, which any other day they've probably put away. So they probably could have won that. And I think Andy will probably look at that. Maybe his 2 points dropped, but then they're going back at it with a really good, solid win against Morpeth, who, they're struggling at the moment, but probably from when like Jay were there against Gainsborough 3 months ago, they lost that game 1-0, and I think that shows how far that team has evolved under Andy at the moment. They've all got a lot of trust in each other, and they're playing a style of football that is not only good on the eye, but it's getting results. For Guiseley now, I think it's just doing what they're doing, ride that wave as long as they can do. And you've got to say, one of the form teams in the division, and it wouldn't surprise me for getting the playoffs. I think High drawing at the weekend was a surprise. Marina up there, thereabouts, pushed Ratcliffe really close. Macclesfield are starting to pick up results after quite a dodgy start under Bruce. So the way Guiseley are going, they absolutely do stand a chance. I think if they are going to get there, it'll probably maybe the last two spots, one of them two last spots they're going to get. But there's some teams in that league at the moment that are all pushing for the same thing. And I think, like we were saying earlier about Gaz and even Halifax, there's a cluster of teams in and around that area. Warrington, Rylands, they're slipping a little bit compared to what they started the season. Worksop are up there. Lancaster, for me, have come out of nowhere. I'm really surprised that they're as far as up where they are. So I think between Guiseley, Worksop, I think Ashen have got a say in it. Lancaster have got a say in it. Whitby have got potentially 5 games in hand on some teams as well, which is just crazy. But again, we saw it, and Dave will know that from Halifax days. If you've got 2 or 3 games to play in a week and you're winning, it's the best thing you can possibly have. But if you're losing, it's the worst thing you can have. So Guiseley are in with a shout, and that's
They've
the
got
best
goals, haven't they?
best you can do.
They've got goals in that team, guys.
Yeah.
And while you've got goals in your team, especially at that level, you always stand chances of winning games. So
yeah. And I think the biggest thing for Guiseley is that at the weekend have scored 4 goals from set pieces, and that's not their strength. So to go there and to do it at home as well is a big thing. But I would say to some people, if you've got a spare Saturday, go and watch Guiseley, because they are a really entertaining team to watch. And we heard from Andy on transfer deadline day, didn't we, from what he was saying, that he wants people to be excited by his teams. He wants people to kind of get the bums off the seats and really be entertained by it. But with that, you've got to get results. Performances are all well good, but you've got to get results. And to be fair, he's doing that at the moment.
Yeah. Moving on then, Bradford Park Avenue, Lou, and the recent upturn in form has continued. It's 3 games undefeated now. Draw against Ashton. I'm loading the goal up as we speak as well to make sure we get on that there, because it was an absolute stunner. But yourself and Jason, you were both at that game, weren't you?
Yeah, we were indeed. We were.
Do you have your chips?
I did, mate. I did. I walked over to Lou and he's like, "Well, there you are."
His chips and gravy looked happy, man. That was even before the ball had been kicked. He were happy. Yeah, I mean, I'll start, and obviously Joe can come in after. But for me, it was a pleasant surprise watching Avenue, having not watched him in a few weeks for various reasons. For me, we looked like a team who had a plan, had a bit of structure, who kind of trusted in a way that Danny Whittaker wants them to play. Don't get me wrong, far from perfect. And if we'd have been 2 or 3-0 down after 10 minutes, it wouldn't have been wrong. And that does sound really critical, but how Ashton did not score in him opening 10, 15 minutes was unbelievable. They had 2 cleared off the line, one at the post, one header just saved. It was crazy. But after that manic 15 minutes, Avenue just seemed to settle down into the game. You need to ride your luck sometimes, and let's be honest, when you're down at the bottom, it always seems to go against you. For me, we just had a good way about ourselves. We looked quite strong, players playing in the right positions, which made a big difference. Example, Will Lancaster being brought into centre midfield, where that's his natural position, looked more comfortable, travelling with a ball with purpose. Eddie Meiko on the right wing, he's all left foot, but caused absolute havoc for the left back in that first half. And even though we didn't really force a save from Ashton's keeper, which for me was a disappointment because we had enough chances to do that, they did okay. And I think Danny Whittaker actually in his post-match interview was quite refreshing, where he actually felt that we didn't move the ball quick enough. He didn't feel that sometimes we had a bit about us from what they've been capable of doing. And I think, again, what there's a positive that, yes, we all talk about that very young set of lads, but the heads didn't seem to go down either after 1-0 down. And they still kept doing the right thing, still trying to play the same way. And the changes came in at the right times as well. It was almost like a planned move where Colville would come off for Jake Daniels. I'm sure we'll see his goal in a minute, where, Jake Daniels kind of just upped to another level from what we needed. So yeah, there's green shoots of recovery. There's a long way to go, a massive long way to go yet. But you could almost see the fruits of the labour just coming to fruition a bit.
I'll say on it. I mean, Lou's been a little bit harsh there in saying that the Ashton keeper didn't have any saves to make. He made 2 fantastic fingertip saves. Especially the one in the second half right in front of us. I mean, it were a top save, wasn't it, Lou? I mean, it's easily forgotten, I know, but it was a top save. For me, I mean, obviously, I was saying to Lou at the weekend, I've seen Avenue maybe 30 or 40 times, I would say, over the last 3 seasons, I would say, commentated on a number of them. And for me, it was probably the best overall 90-minute performance I've seen from an Avenue team in that time. Exactly what Lou says, in that they looked like they had a plan. They were trying to play a certain style. And after that first 10 minutes, because, Ashton were all over Avenue for the first 10 minutes. They started the game really well, and they should have been in front. After that, for the majority of the game, Avenue controlled it. They not so much dominated, but they controlled the game really, really well. And if they'd have made more of the chances, they could and would have come out as winners in that game. I was really impressed with them. Really, really impressed, considering how young that side is, the lack of experience that runs through that team. I mean, you're looking through and you're looking for age, and Lucas Dunson's captaining the team at 23-year-old. Loans in key places, key positions, like in goal, in Flavel from Barnsley. It says a lot about what I think Danny's been able to put together in the time that he's been there. Riley Desana was making his starting debut at centre back alongside a left back who's playing there alongside him. No more than 5'9", 5'10", Whiting alongside him. Not a big stature in centre back, but he played extremely well. Both me and Lou said he was man of the match. I was, like I say, really, really impressed, and I think they've got some foundations to build on, and I hope they stay up. I really, really hope they stay up. I think it'd be a fantastic turnaround to see them stay up this season and then try and rebuild at this level. For sure.
Should we have a look at the goal?
Go for it.
Should we get the goal on, Gaz? Dave,
Yes,
have you
please.
seen this goal?
No, I don't think so. Looking forward to seeing it, though.
Yeah, let's have a look. Right, let's bring it up. Can we all see that?
Yes.
There we go. Woof. There we go.
We were literally sat two seats behind the cameraman as well. So we had that exact angle, didn't we, Lou?
Yeah, and to be fair, I think Jake's come in over the past couple of games, and even though he's not started on loan from Blackpool, there's a lot of people who've been going to watch Avenue and saying they've been really impressed by him. It just adds a bit of a different dimension. He's direct on that wing. He has a lot of problems. He's quite tricky, both right and left-footed as well. But it was nice to see actually and we've not seen that from Avenue for quite a bit, where somebody's actually willing to have a shot from distance. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but sometimes we've been a bit prone to just trying to walk the ball in. But when somebody can hit it like that and it goes in, and like I say, Jay made a really fair comment about the keeper making saves, you didn't stand a chance with that. And like I say, just after that, we had a penalty shout as well, and another shot that was saved. So, it's encouraging, despite the league position. It is an absolute fight between Stafford, ourselves, Atherton, and Basford. I think Gainsborough are out of it, and it is a four-way battle really to get out of them relegation zones.
Not to mention the horrific red card.
I mean, how it wasn't a red card is beyond me. But it's going over social at the moment, isn't it? And we could hear it from 40 yards away. And you could see the impact it had on Lucas Dunstan. And to be fair, when you watch it back, I think even Jake Charles, knew instantly it wasn't a great challenge. He didn't even question it, did he? He was like, I think he almost was on his knees expecting to be sent off.
Yeah, he will go in.
It wasn't, which is baffling. You don't want to see anybody get sent off, but at the same time, sometimes fouls are sending off, and it kept him in the game probably in that first half.
It said everything about it as well, that no more than 10 minutes later, half-time was called, and he didn't come out for the second half. Yeah. It was hooked at half-time, and I think that always says a lot about that, because the manager knew the next challenge he made, he were going to receive a second yellow to even up the decision. So, smart management, really.
Indeed. Just before we bid farewell, Lewis, anything else catch your eye from the non-league world this weekend?
Just again, Emily stretching the lead at the top of the NCL. Campion losing 5-2 at Penistone, which seems, which saw Emily extend the lead at the top. And another a couple of results in the Northern Premier League East as well to probably mention. Ponty winning against Grantham 1-0, which is a really good solid result from them. They're not expected to probably go up as champions the way Stockton are playing, but I think what they've got 2 or 3 games in hand and are pushing that second place really close. And also a big shout out to Liversidge as well, beating Dunstan 2-1. Dunstan are right up there, I think, the second place. A last minute winner from Kurt Harris as a really, really good victory for Liversidge, who've not had the best of seasons, but it was really encouraging to see both them and the Colliers pick up a couple of victories. So yeah, all in all, not a bad results for some of our West Yorkshire teams. And also a big shout out, and we saw them last week actually. And I know the comment on us sometimes, Route 1 Rovers. Spoke with them midweek, went to watch them. They came to watch a game at Silsden. We had a really good chat with them, and they're absolutely flying in their division. It was really interesting to get a bit of insight from them of how they're finding life in the northwest side, even though they're based in Bradford, but they obviously play at Marley. Kind of discussing the quality of football in their league compared to the northeast counties. And, they're riding high in second. They're not expected to probably win that division with FC St Helens doing well, but Route 1 again winning 4-2 at the weekend. And they're a really, really good story. And to be fair, it'd be really good to get them on. They said that we're going to try and hopefully get on the show before the end of the season, not the end of the season. So, yeah, all in all, some really good results for teams in West Yorkshire around the non-league scene.
Brilliant. Yeah, quite a positive week this week, isn't it, really? Most of our teams doing pretty well, apart from Huddersfield, rather. And
even that's positive, Brownie. What are you talking about?
Well, yes, yeah. Indeed. Guys, thank you very much for watching along. Please make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more content on all our teams across West Yorkshire. I've been Stephen Brown. I want to thank everyone who's been on the show. Jason, Dave, Gaz, Lewis, and earlier Steve as well. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week for the weekend roundup, and we'll also have content throughout the week on all our teams as well. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you then. Bye-bye.